Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I go by Hiram or Bogwa. Hey guys, welcome back. So today I'll be covering access modifiers. Now, so far the ones that I've highlighted before have been public and static, but today we'll look at other different access modifiers that exist, and I'll show you how we typically utilize them. So first thing is, I am working on the project that I work. First thing is I'm utilizing the project that I had created whenever. First thing is I'm utilizing the program that I had created. First thing is I'm utilizing the project that I had created whenever I covered classes and objects. So if you haven't watched that, go watch that first and then come back to this. With that, I'll go ahead and get started. First thing is I've created this class called course. And right now, all these properties do not have an access modifier. And in this instance, Java would apply the default permissions, which are these properties can be accessed within the same package or within the same class. So if I have a method inside this class, I'll be able to access its properties, but I will not be able to access these properties outside of this class. So I'll go ahead and I'll show you with student details. With student and student details, these are two other classes that I've created, and as you can see, they exist in the same package, the students package. So student class should have access to student details fields, which are student name and student address. So let's go ahead and test that out and just demonstrate it. I'll create a dummy method. And as you can see, I'm able to access student address and student name. So in here, I will be able to set that, equals into test. Let's try accessing, since I've created a course instance. And again, this is how you initialize a new class. I've initialized a new class in my app runner class. And as you can see, that's in the com.coderush package. And the course class is in the courses package. Since these properties will have the default permissions, I will not be able to access them inside this class. So let's try that. Course dot. Again, we're to look at some of the field course name. Again, as you can see, I'm not able to access those fields, and we can try that out. Just copying the name and setting it just to see. And as you can see, it's already throwing an error because you don't have access to this field. And there's that. So that's the first level of permissions. It's when you don't have any access modifiers attached to your property, even the class. If I was to remove the access modifier to this class, as you can see, there's an error now because now this class does not have access to that class. So now we do know of the public access modifier, so we'll go ahead and take a look at that. So I'll assign public to these properties. So here I'm saying these properties are public and can be accessed anywhere in the world. So here we'll do course dot, and as you can see now, the properties are available. Course name, maybe like test, doesn't complain, compiles just fine. So I'll go ahead and remove that. So the first one is public, and again, same thing with the class. When the class is public, I can access that anywhere. So making your data fields public, that's a bad practice. You should always make them, as you can guess, private. So typically what we do with private fields is we have what are called getters and setters. I'll go ahead and you can, again, right click. This is on IntelliJ, generate, getter setter, highlight all the fields, and here it is. So now what we've done is we've created these methods that we can utilize to access these fields. Instead of you being able to call them directly, the properties themselves will be private to this class, but we've created these methods which we utilize to access. So in case I want to set the course name, I have to utilize my setter method. I can't just call it directly. So let's try and do this. Course. I'll set course name, text course, and let's just print it out. Again, you can do S out, course, print it out, plus course dot get course name. And again, now in our code, we'll be utilizing the setters to set the data and the getters to retrieve that data. So we're no longer calling that field directly. We're using the getter and setter method. I'll go ahead and run this. And as you can see, it printed out my course, test course. Okay. Again, here in the student and student details, I'll make my property fields private. And then I'll create the getter setters. Again, this is usually the standards. Again, this is usually the standard that we utilize when it comes to Java development. Making your data fields private. And then creating access methods. Now, as you can see here, it's throwing an error now. We can call the setter. And I'll actually rename this. I'll call it init details. So that's the basics of private. So besides the private and public modifier, we have what's called protected, and I'll go ahead and create a protected field. Protected string SSN. Typically you'd want this to be private too, but just to show you, I'll create that protected field. Now with the protected field, what that means is the access will be granted to the class. So any method within the class will have access to this field, the package too, and also the subclass. Now, I haven't covered subclasses, but that I will cover down the road. So for example here, let's see, student should have access to SSN since it's a protected field and they're in the same package. Again, there it is. I want to try a protected field here in the course. Protected string course teacher. And let's see if we can access that here. Course dot. Again, as you can see, we can't access that field. So as you can see, with the protected data, the access is only granted to the same class or classes within the same package. And also subclasses. But again, subclasses are not covered right now, and I'll cover those down the road. But for now, those are the most important things to know. So understand whenever I don't define private, what kind of access I've granted this field, and that will be a class within the same package can access this field, but a class outside of the same package will not be able to access that course name. Understand whenever I define a field as private, only the class will have access to that field, and in order for anyone else to be granted access to that field, I will need to, create my getter setter methods to expose that field. And the other thing will be public, which, as you already know, anyone and everyone has access to that. And that's the basics of access modifiers. I'll put a link in the description linking you to an article on Oracle covering access modifiers. And with that, see you next time. Thank you for watching my tutorials. Give it a thumbs up if you like it, and subscribe if you haven't, and also check me out on Instagram at coderush.io.